There he is, Neil Magny here after the big win in Toronto. Neil, thank you for doing this. Appreciate it. Congrats on the win.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure to talk to you after a fight.
Yes.
Let's see if I got the job done and I did it right.
Yes. Well, thank you. And you did get the job done. You did it right, and you got a big victory. Could I ask, going into the fight, here you are once again. It seems like you're often in this spot, fighting the young, upstart, future star, future contender, and you have to kind of play the role of spoiler. Considering how 2023 went for you, and especially the back end of the year, how are you feeling going into this fight? What was your confidence level like?
Actually felt great. I mean, even when I got this fight offer, when I initially brought it to my coaches, their reactions were kind of like, "Hey, man, you're fighting another tough up and comer. You're fighting him in Canada. You're fighting in his home turf. Why do you think that is? Why do you think the UFC's putting you up there?" And I was like, "Oh, it's very evident what's happening here. I'm fighting a guy who's is undefeated in UFC. He's a young up and comer, fighting in his backyard. It's absolutely opportunity for him to quote unquote break into the rankings, so to speak, by beating me. And I welcome that kind of adversity with open arms. I mean, the literal thing I said back to my coaches is, if I have 12 weeks to prepare for an opponent, and I'm over here picking and choosing who that opponent should be, then the conversation between you and I need to be something that's much more different. I'm not at the point in my life or career now where I need to. Gotta love technical difficulties.
Yes. Okay. I think we're good. Hopefully, they say we're efforting, but I think we're good. So yes, it felt. I'm happy that you say that, because it was clear that they were trying to build him off of you, right? And you recognize that. Does that annoy you when you come to terms with that?
No, I mean, at the end of the day, it is just the way that the cards lay, so to speak. So my last fight, I came up short. So for me to get opportunity to fight someone ranked, someone in the top 10, top 5, whatever it may be, I have to go out there and get another win. And just beating just an average Joe wouldn't necessarily make that big of a statement. I have to go out there and face one of these up and comers that are looking to break into the rankings, so to speak, and have to do it in a very impressive fashion. So when the fight was offered to me and I saw it was in Canada, I saw who the opponent was and all that kind of stuff, it was very evident what the game plan was as far as like promoting goes. But I kind of welcomed that pressure with open arms.
So what happened in the first and second round? Why was it for the most part all Mike?
Yeah, so looking at film and going into this fight, one of the things that we noticed is Mike is very talented, and he has a lot of first round, second round victories with either TKOs or submission sort of thing. So we knew that he was the kind of guy that kind of likes to start the fight off quickly, and we're kind of anticipating that. So early in the round, I was kind of like trying to draw him out, so to speak, to kind of make him be super aggressive and look for that kind of bait him into like trying to chase a finish early on kind of thing, where I can really kind of rope him into kind of grappling and making a long, grueling fight for him. But he kind of flipped the script a little bit. He was very calm. He was very composed. He kind of stayed back and was very patient. And it was honestly kind of frustrating at times. I was like, wait, you're supposed to blitz forward. Where's the blitz? You're supposed to tie up and go crazy. Why isn't that happening yet? So he did a very good job on his end as far as like preparation goes as to the kind of fighter he needed to be to beat me. And for a majority of that fight, he was doing just that. He was staying patient. He was staying composed. He was kind of staying just out of my reach, where I couldn't really inflict much of my game plan on him, so to speak. And he made it close. He made a very close fight for me.
Do you recall what your corner told you going into the third round? What was the game plan? After it was very clear that the first 2 rounds went to him, what were they telling you to do? What were you thinking about going into the third?
By the third round, they're just very evident that like, hey man, you're probably down 2-0 at this point. You're definitely down 2-0. We need to go out there and make it a fight. We need to make it a dogfight at this point. I know you can push for 5 minutes. We need 5 minutes to work out of you. And literally, I just jumped off the stool and said, "Yes, sir, I'll get it done." And just went out there and was willing to do whatever it took to kind of see an opportunity to get the fight done. I mean, I was jumping out submissions. I was looking for ground and pound TKO. Whatever he presented, I was going to go out there and try to get done, so to speak. And I was very fortunate to get the fight to the ground and find an opportunity to finish it.
So he goes for that submission, and then the tide turns with about a minute left. What is the opening that you see there? What happened as far as you are concerned?
So at one point I tried going for a choke. I knew a guy like mine is super tough, and I knew that we had short time in a round. And like, had I tried squeezing a choke or whatever, he probably wouldn't have tapped due to pain. He probably wouldn't have tapped due to discomfort. The only way he was going to tap is if the ref pulled me off, if he actually went to sleep with a submission. So at one point I tried locking up a head and arm choke, and I just didn't feel that like it was in deep enough where I can actually like cut off circulation to cause him lose consciousness and that kind of thing. So I knew the next best option I had was to look for a TKO finish, whether it was either punching to lost consciousness or punching to so the ref pulled me off. And I just went, screw it, we're going to punch to the ref pulls me off, so to speak.
So you kept going, and honestly, I felt like I didn't think it was like a late stoppage, but I think the referee, Kevin McDonald, gave him every opportunity to survive, perhaps because there were just seconds remaining. Did you think that it went on too long?
I mean, at the end of the day, with the sport being the way that it is, I feel he gave him every opportunity to stay in the fight. I mean, it's one of those opportunities. Had he called the fight too early, many would have argued that, like, oh no, he called the fight too early. That he was up 2 rounds. You should let the fight play out. But I feel like it was a good call on the rest part to kind of give Mike Mallot every opportunity to get himself back into the fight. He gave him ample verbal warnings, say, get back in the fight back, and reposition, to give him every opportunity possible to make it clear that he wanted to stay in the fight and he still had fight in him. But eventually, it just ended up being too much, where it was just like overwhelming. Shots were landing pretty flush, and it was enough to get the victory.
When you're raining those blows, are you at all thinking about the clock? Because I mean, there's seconds left. Are you wondering if he's going to get saved by the bell? Are you thinking about this at all?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, a lot of times you get in positions like whether it's taking someone's back and flattening them out, you kind of punch to the point of like, all right, well, the guy's not improving his position. The ref's probably going to swoop in and save him. There's no need for me to inflict so much damage on this individual. I can't pull back the punches, so to speak. But knowing I had a short window of opportunity, knowing that the time was probably very close, I knew I had to punch with the intent to either cause him to lose consciousness or cause it to be the point where like the ref just saw enough where he's like, nope, I can't wait another 10 seconds. I got to call this now. So I definitely had to like strike with just with the intent of either causing him to lose consciousness or causing the ref to see enough damage where he felt the need to jump in and call the fight.
Such a huge win for you, not only because of like how the last fight went, but also considering he was, of all the Canadians on the card, right? I mean, there were 7 males, 8 if you include Arnold Allen, 2 females. Of all the Canadians on the card, he was the one kind of being pushed. He was highest on the card as maybe the next guy. And you come back and you do that to him in Toronto, in his home province, all very huge. And I know we talked about like how the fight was being positioned, but even all week in terms of the media stuff and what he was posting, like it just seemed like he recognized it, and nothing wrong with that. But I'm wondering if you took any of that in and used that as fuel all week to be the spoiler and to ruin all of this.
No, for me it was super personal, just kind of going out there and just like making a snap for where I'm at in my career. I mean, a lot of the interviews and things being up to are just like, hey, you've done so much for the sport. It's it now. It's it. What's the next thing? Those are the kind of leading questions that I was getting throughout the fight week for me. So for me, if I was being honest, I didn't really pay attention to much of Mike's interviews and media attention at all during fight week. I was more so caught up in like how the image of me was being painted, so to speak, and how the interviewers were kind of leading the questions. So I was like, hey, you've done everything you could done in the welterweight division up to this point. You think this is the last one? How many more? What do you think's a retirement? What do you think about this next? All this other stuff. So those are kind of leading questions that I was getting. So for me, it was important to go out there and not only just fight, but fight hard and prove to myself, like, nope, you still got some in the tank to go. And beating a guy like Mike Mallot definitely proves just that. I mean, prior to this fight, he was undefeated. He was a guy that was heavily favored to win. So go out there and get the job done. It definitely gave me the confidence, gave me the boost that I needed to keep moving forward in my own personal career.
Did you feel insulted, and were you surprised by those questions?
Partially. I mean, you just never know where they're going to go. I mean, even at one point they were comparing the all wins record with Jordan Blake, Jim Miller. That was brought up in a lot of the interviews and that kind of thing. And I was like, yeah, Jim Miller had a great career thus far. He made it very well known that UFC 300 may be his last event. And hats off to him. If he wants to call it quits then, great career. right after sunset, enjoy your time off, so to speak. But when I think of Jim Miller and what he's done and where he's at in his life personally, he and I are just not in the same place. So to have that be the comparison going into fight week, for me, I knew I had to do something different going into that fight to kind of like change the tide, so to speak. I don't want to have conversations about what's next after fighting. I want to have conversations about how many more fights I have left in me. To me, I feel like I still haven't met my ultimate goal yet, which is UFC title contention. And if 5 years from now I look back and that's not accomplished, great. But for right now, I still have my heart and eyes set on doing just that.
It's a tricky thing, I think. You tell me if I'm wrong, because it's not like you beat him in 10 seconds or even like, beat him in the first 4 minutes. You can't, while you're probably very happy that you got the win and it was well-deserved and earned and the way you turned it around was remarkable, you can't necessarily ignore the first 2 rounds, right? So are you overall happy with the body of work, or are you just happy with the finish and hate the body of work? What are your feelings towards the fight?
No, I mean, at this point, it's all gathering data for what's next for me. That's literally what these fights are at this point. So before I even got on the flight home, I was discussing with my coaches that, hey, there were certain things that happened in that fight that I didn't feel comfortable with and I didn't like. And we were already addressing how we would face that when it came to the training room. And I was fortunate to get that kind of feedback from him. I mean, at the end of the day, when I'm preparing to fight some of these young up-and-coming guys, I have to study almost like a guy like Mike Mallot, for example. His fights don't tend to go on very long. So when it comes to film study and preparation, I'm anticipating what he may or may not do off of like 25 minutes of film study. That's not very much to get a good feel of what your opponent may do. And you kind of like create this narrative of who that person may be in your mind before you actually get out there and feel the guy out. Where a guy like Mike Mallot, for example, he's getting ready to fight me. He has over 9 hours of UFC footage alone to kind of break down what I may do, what I may not do, what my tendencies are. It's a lot easier for my opponents to game plan for me than just me to game plan for them, kind of thing. So going into that fight with Mike Mallot, like, yeah, those first 2 rounds, I'm not okay with it. I'm not comfortable with it. I very much dislike those 2 rounds. There were some things I did well in those first 2 rounds, but I can definitely say there were some things that I took away that I could do a lot better moving forward. And those are the opportunities that I'm grateful and appreciative for, because those experiences won't go to waste, so to speak. Like before I even got on the flight, I already had it written out in a notebook of what to address in training on Tuesday. Today, I'm already in preparation for what do I need to do physically today to prepare me to go back to the gym tomorrow. I had a nice, easy workout this morning to kind of give my body a little bit of active recovery before going back to the gym and start drilling tomorrow right away. So the first 2 rounds can't be ignored, but I feel like it can't be ignored more so for the data it's given me more than anything.
Did you share any words of wisdom with him afterwards? Did you say anything to him at all?
No, it was very unfortunate. It was like I said, I was never one of those guys that got to me where it's like, oh, I want to hurt people. I want to see people later unconscious. That was never one of the things that drove me into sports and mixed martial arts. I was always all about the competition aspect of it. It was unfortunate at the end of the fight, he wasn't doing too well physically, where his coaches had to carry him out, and he was actually taken away to ambulance shortly after the fight. So he and I didn't really get much time to really exchange words and talk after the fight. But he's a young guy. He's a tough guy. I'm sure he'll bounce back and do very well moving forward.
What do you think of him now that you've actually been in the cage with him? Do you think he has the potential to be the guy that Canadian MMA fans think he can be?
Yeah, I think so, 100%. I mean, he showed a very diverse skill set going into the fight, and the way he adapted to fight me in that fight, that showed a lot of skill and adaptation as well. I mean, for a guy to be as explosive as he is and be comfortable with being able to go into these fights and get it done within the first 2 rounds or so, and to kind of play his cards for the long haul, so to speak, and actually stick to a game plan as well as he did. I feel like he definitely has the skill set and the tactics to actually be a very good contender in the 170-pound division.
How did Canada treat you?
It was great. I mean, it was so weird because on one end, when you go to the press conference with media outlets, you're getting booed by the Canadian fans, but as soon as you get back to the hotel, you're getting greeted with so much overwhelming love to the point that like fans were almost apologizing. Like, hey man, we really, really, really like you, but we can't go out there and support you as the foreigner, so to speak. We have to fight for hometown guys. So I completely understood that part 100%. But overall, it was great. It was great hospitality all around. I mean, from going to the grocery store to going to the gym, everywhere I went, I was met by a lot of wholesome fans that were really grateful for me coming up there. People were even thinking, "Hey, man, thanks for even taking a chance and a risk against a guy like Mike to even give an opportunity to face a guy with your kind of resume to even put him on for Canadian MMA." Like, they definitely appreciated the work that I have done in the past, and my willingness to even step up and go to Canada and compete against one of their hometown guys.
It was wild because, I mean, you're such a soft-spoken guy. You're very respectful. You don't talk trash. And then to hear you getting booed at the presser, at the ceremonial weigh-ins, was that uncomfortable for you?
Not at all. I mean, like I said, every experience I had in this fight is an opportunity for me to take something away and grow from. I mean, the booze at the press conference, walking out of the fight, the weigh and all that kind of stuff doesn't even compare to what I had to deal with my last fight. So the mental fortitude I was able to come away from that last fight to now, I don't think there's a single thing an opponent, a crowd, or anything else anyone else can do going to the fight to put me off my game mentally.
Do you mean the stuff Ian Garry said about you?
Yeah. We just saw the media play that Ian Garry pulled and how that whole press conference and just how that week in general went. I mean, going through a week like that, like I think anything else outside there is like a cakewalk at this point.
Yeah. And you know, I know you've been asked about the Ian stuff, and I don't want to ask you about it again, but I'm just curious about this. Like, how are you, every time you're asked about the Ian thing, I hear you say, like, you know, I don't hold a grudge. I don't wish bad on him. I'm not happy to see him go through hell now, et cetera, et cetera. Are you just saying that? Or is that, I feel like you're being honest. And if so, how do you not hold a grudge against him?
No, I mean, at the end of the day, like, I'm not sure if I hope you never had to go through it, never have been through it, but going through a separation when you have children involved is one of the most difficult things I've ever had to face throughout my life. I mean, every type of experience I had thus far. I mean, whether it's grief or military things or whatever else it may be, that kind of experience is something that, like, I wouldn't wish for my worst enemy. I mean, it's truly a difficult situation where the level of intent or ability you have to actually be a parent to your child is at stake or whatever, and someone else gets to decide on, like, how long you can see your children, when you can see your children, all that kind of stuff. It's a very uneasy feeling. So going through all that stuff last year and wondering whether or not I'll be able to have custody of my children, and when I'll be able to see them, how long I'll be able to spend time with them, whether or not my visits will be supervised, and all this other stuff, it was a very uneasy feeling. So to have an opponent kind of take that lightly and kind of make it a gimmick where some of the things he was saying in press conferences were being quoted in emails for my partner's attorney to use in court and that kind of stuff. It just was a very uneasy feeling for me, where it's like, man, this is beyond fighting. This is like my actual, like, life here.
Yes.
Like, forget legacy, forget wins, forget records, forget all that stuff. It's like my sole purpose on earth at this point, be the best father possible to my kids. And the things being said in that press conference actually being quoted and being put in position to use against me in court, kind of thing. And that was just an uneasy feeling. I just didn't like it at all or whatever. And mentally, it took a huge toll on me. So to go through that experience and see what that had the potential of doing, there's no way I can turn around and say, oh, I wish this person goes through it now. That was just not anything that I would want to go through ever again, nor would I want to see someone else go through that, especially when you have an innocent child that's in the middle of it that doesn't deserve one parent or another being taken away for unjust cause.
And yet you don't hold a grudge against them.
No, not at all. I mean, like I said, with everything that's happening with him now, everything else like that, I hope he gets to a point where he can figure it out, because at the end of the day, he and his wife have a child that they have to raise as well, and I hope they can figure it out for the sake of their child. And going through what I did, I had to go through and seeing how that affected me personally and see how it affected my kids personally. I don't have room in my heart to hold grudges for anyone at that point. I'm just very grateful and fortunate that that issue was able to get resolved rather quickly and didn't affect my my relationship with my children at all.
Has all that been resolved? Is it relatively stress-free now, or still ongoing?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's pretty much 90% complete. Just have to finalize some documents here and get it 100%. But as far as like what my day-to-day life looks like and schedule for my children looks like, that's pretty much set in stone, and we're moving forward when both parents are happy with it.
Okay, and last thing on this, I'm just wondering, did any of what he said affect how much you can see your kids or your relationship with your kids in the end? I know you said it was in emails, but like in the end.
No, in the end, no. I was very fortunate that I had a very rational judge that oversaw my case and things like that, and understood the total landscape of where that kind of criticism and where that kind of stuff was coming from. So it was a great play by my ex-wife's attorney and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, I was very fortunate that I had a very level-headed judge that oversaw it all, and it didn't affect his decision at all as far as allowing me to have 50-50 custody of my children.
Okay, and I believe it was it your son's birthday yesterday?
Yeah, yeah. So not only did I get the job done in Canada, I got to come home and actually spend a day with my son after a fight. So that was in itself just as big as the win. So it was a great weekend. I couldn't have asked for a better way for everything to play out than it has this past weekend.
Amazing. And when would you like to return? Do you have any thoughts on that? And perhaps against two?
Yeah, I mean, one of the cool things about fighting so early in the year is I have so many more months ahead of me to go out there and compete. I mean, at this point, majority of the guys in the top 10 are pretty much scheduled for fights at this point. I think a fight with a guy like Wonderboy at this point would be a super ideal fight. And time frame wise, I see no reason why that fight can't happen as early as April, May. His fight was, I believe, was back in November, if not December, something like that. So I feel like he had plenty of downtime to do whatever he needs to do to kind of recover, get back on track. So if that's a fight I can get as early as April, May, I'll love that opportunity.
I love that as well. Makes a lot of sense considering where you're both at right now. Well done. Well done on handling everything, on the win, on the comeback, all that and more. Congrats, Neil. Appreciate it very much, and appreciate you always coming on the show.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the opportunity to chat with you.
All right, there he is, Neil Magny with the big win. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it very much. Hey, if you like this video, give us the old thumbs up. Subscribe as well. You could get many more of these videos on the channel, so please do that. We would love you forever if you did so.